gonna do to me today?
The cold air's coming in the window and the hot air's
All
coming
right.
off.
Calling to order the Board of Finance meeting on October 16, 2025. It's now 5:31 p.m. Public comments?
No public comment.
No public comments. We'll turn it over to Tony for the administrative report.
Thank you. I have a report through the first quarter of the fiscal year. There's not much really to report. There are no significant surplus or variance deficits to report at this time. What I do want to bring to your attention is a few items that may impact the budget in the upcoming months. The first is the police. The town recently approved a collective bargaining agreement with the police union. So that'll take us through June 30th of 2028. So we're currently calculating the retroactive pay and adjusting our payroll records to reflect the new wages. We do have extra funds in contingency to help with this funding, and there is also some vacant positions within the police department. So we're hoping with a combination of those two sources that we should have enough to pay for those wages. And we also set aside some funds in a previous year for those that are on the board, if you remember. So those three sources of funds hopefully will address this, but I just want to bring that to your attention. And the second is just our investment income, which I monitor regularly.
Is the retroactive pay from several
It's from,
years or how many?
yep, it's from,
Took a while to finish the negotiations.
right, so the last contract expired in June 30th, 2023.
Okay.
So we were over 2 years in negotiations with this contract.
Tony, you said hope. Is that number still in flux?
It's a little in flux. I think the variable is the vacant positions in the police department. So, because that'll help to offset some of the wages that we have to give.
Right.
Right, because we didn't put it in the operating budget as in the department, simply because that is your ability to pay. So if we had put like a 3% increase in the operating budget for like this year, then, you put in 3% for your budget, so.
Well, plus those open positions were budgeted at the previous contracts.
Right, correct, right.
Salaries,
And they're
okay.
and they're budgeted at full position and benefits. So it's not just the budgeted position, but the benefits associated with that position are also available.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why we couldn't fill those positions was because of our starting salaries on our previous contract, which was what took us a while to address.
So it's likely they'll get filled.
Yes.
So what is the increase that?
So the
Didn't
cost,
budget.
so the cost of living adjustment for sergeants is 3%. For officers, it's not quite as simple as that, because we eliminated our provision. We had a provision for education and for longevity, which was based on the percentage of how long you were here. So it was a rather generous one. So what that did was caused those that were here longer to have a much higher salary than those who were starting, and our starting salaries were not. So we had to sort of readjust the wages. So we were in line with other towns, which is why we couldn't attract people.
So do we have like a total amount that would likely be added to the budget?
I do,
not
yeah.
Including the.
Yeah, I do. I don't have it with me. But
Okay, that's
yeah,
fine.
I do. Yeah, we calculated this all out to see, how much it would cost, and
Scott, it's probably good to say it's more likely. There is still a significant shortage statewide as relates to candidates for police officer positions.
Likely that they won't get filled.
No, it's more likely that they will get filled, because now at least we're not at the bottom of the
right.
of the scale.
Got it.
In terms of what's being published out there.
right, we were
But
at
it's
the
not-
we were at the bottom.
Yeah.
We're correct, but at the same token, there is still a significant shortage of candidates out there for any of the positions. So everybody's still competing for the small pool of people who are looking to go into that field.
So they won't get filled immediately.
Right.
Right.
And so we're sort of timing that also to help
I'm just
with
trying
this.
to gauge like what is the risk to the budget? Like if everything is filled and like
That'll be in next year's budget. We'll then have everything filled and budgeted for. That's where you'll see a bigger increase.
Okay.
So I think what you're saying, Tony, is with the vacancies, you have a surplus that could
Correct.
absorb some of the retro from
That's-
23.
That's exactly correct.
Right.
Not only the retro from previous years,
Yeah.
but also the actual pay for this year.
Right.
That was not budgeted for because we were in negotiations.
Shouldn't be an extraordinary impact on this year's budget.
No, it won't be extraordinary
But
this
next
year.
year
But
we have
next year
to
could be a
budget for it.
challenge.
Right.
Right.
Status of the audit, I guess.
So the audit is, they've been out several times to do testing and to we'll go through a lot of our information. I think the two last items on our audit are the fixed assets and compensated absences, which are, that's new this year, the way we calculate our compensated absences, which is essentially sick and vacation time for employees. We have to evaluate that in a different manner and establish a liability for that time. And so we hope to have a draft by probably right before Thanksgiving and hopefully issue sometime mid-December. We're required by the state to issue 6 months after the close of our fiscal year, and so that would be December 31st. Many towns do not make that deadline. Primarily, one main reason is there's still not a lot of there's some staffing shortages in a lot of towns for finance folks that want to do this kind of stuff. So that's one issue, and there's the pool of auditors that work on municipal audits is also reduced since I've started doing this.
So they'll issue December 15th, mid?
Yeah, around mid-December is our goal.
So you could take off 2 weeks?
And then, yeah, and then the auditor will present to the Board of Finance in probably January.
All right. Awesome.
Okay.
The Woodbridge Board of Ed Finance Report.
We provide this as a, just as an update for you. And so you can see they are projecting an $80,000 surplus in their adopted budget through 9/30. I typically don't include that in my analysis until later in the year
It's early, yeah.
because it's early.
It's early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you mentioned where, because of turnover, you kind of had some extra cash.
Right,
You know?
right.
All right. I don't know if you guys had any questions on the reports. Nope. We can move on to our budget timeline.
So we have a timeline in your package, which I guess the first thing I wanted to mention was for this, if you haven't gone through the process before, it's sort of laid out in our charter in terms of deadlines, but we typically have the departments send in their requests by like the first weekend of January, and then we have our departments present both capital and operating to the combined Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen in late January and into early February. These selectmen have to have their recommendations to the Board of Finance by March 1st, and then the Board of Finance typically sets a public hearing in April. So in order to follow that timeline, that's sort of there's a budget meeting dates for you to approve, and then we can circulate that to the different departments and start that process. And we used to have, when the election was in May, we used to have the capital separate from the operating, for those of you who remember. So they were just sort of spread out so you didn't have it all at once. But because of the possibility of different board members, the Board of Finance 2 years ago, I think it was, decided to have all of the meetings in January. So that's why all the budget meetings are sort of compressed to one short time period, as opposed to having them spread out like it used to be.
I don't know if everyone had a chance to look at the dates. So you need to make a motion?
Yes, if you would approve those dates, then we could distribute these to those who have asked us
Okay.
to schedule particularly the hearings in January.
Do you need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the dates for the proposed FY 2027 budget meetings.
I'll second it.
All approved? Abby? No? All right. Good deal.
Thank you.
I'll just make a plea like I did last year, that when we do scheduling, let's try not to have Beecher and Amity on the same night.
I mentioned it to Karen already.
Oh, good, thank you. I knew you would, but I just wanted to bring it up, because
Right.
that was a long night.
Great idea, Tom. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda, budget guidelines.
So this is an ongoing process that we do each year, and we are planning to send out probably either tomorrow or Monday at the latest, the guidelines for the upcoming budget for our departments, and open up our budget package. It's an online platform for the departments to start entering their budget, both capital and operating. And so as we start this process, we typically like to ask the Board of Finance if there are any guidelines that you have for the departments as they prepare their budget, so that they
I guess I would ask you to tell us what the guidelines are as it right now.
Like,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so we have a process where we identify, the personnel, and we help with, give them reports on financials and actual information and a bunch of information. But I'm sort of more thinking of, are there any information you're interested in? Are there any, in the past, there have been guidelines by the board early on in the process. Some years it's been, no increase. In other words, we're looking for a zero increase. If you have to have a zero increase for next year, what is that? What would you reduce from your budget? Some years it's been no new positions, right? So that's would be a simple one. So, other years it's been more focused on more of like a program based budgeting, where it would be like, okay, we'd like information on this program, or for instance, it was a few years it was the pool at Beecher, or the fitness center, or various programs where we would alert the department that the board is looking for information. And sometimes this comes up now, or sometimes it comes up later, at a later meeting, or during the hearings. This could also come up. I always like to just bring this up to see if anyone has any early suggestions on, we come up with suggestions too throughout the process that, we think would be worth looked at, but I always like to hear from members. to
So
see if there's
normally
any-
on your,
It's like, I'll put something like in my letter
Yeah.
that says, the Board of Finance is looking this year for X.
zero
Or
increases
what, if you
reduction in
have,
budget,
if you don't have anything, then, could be at a later date.
I'll open it up to you guys if you have any
I mean,
suggestions.
given the almost 5% increase we had in last year's budget, I think it would go a long way for us to shoot for a zero increase. That of course may not be realistic or achievable, but I think we should ask for it.
And what we'll do is, we'll say, how would that impact you? Right, and I make sure it's like a legitimate impact, because one year somebody said to me, well, we'll just take out electricity. Right, it's like, well, you can't do that, because we still have to have lights. It has to be something that you can actually, and that year, I remember the board would go through, and, you can identify which are ones that you think you can vote, you can support, and ones you can't support. For instance, in some of the smaller departments, it could be like, closing 2 days a week because we only have, 2 people or
Yeah.
whatever. So,
And I think we all are aware that it was a tough tax year, and that but I think it has to be said, we always try to get it as close to zero as we can. My suggestion, which I think we've done in the past, is to go to them and say, one, if we can come to agreement that we're not, I'm going to say we're not, but of course, that's a little too early to say we're not going to do something.
Right.
But what I'd really like to say is, like we've done in the past, if we keep it at zero, and we are aware that there's some contractual obligations, et cetera, if we keep it at zero, we'd like you, and again, Tony, I'd ask you to I don't want him to do a ton of work, because I don't think it's reasonable that we're going to get to zero. So, but I'd like the people in town to be able to say, if we kept it at zero, because we had people at the preliminary town, why don't you just keep it at zero? Well, that may mean the library isn't open for 6 months
Correct.
of the year.
That's a good example.
You know,
Yeah.
or, and I'm just using, or that Beecher has to fire teachers. And I'm not saying any of this is
Right.
desirable, I'm just saying, come in at zero, tell us what, if we force you to do it at zero, what are you really gonna do? And I would like us to come to some agreement on, maybe we say at 2%, maybe 2% is not unreasonable, I don't know. But I would like the process this year to be a little bit more, I don't want to say transparent, because we're always transparent, but I want to emphasize what this means, as opposed to what we usually do, which is at the tail end of the budget process, we look at it and say, oh man, can we lower this by a mill rate? And we look at each other and Tony says, well, find me $500,000, and we look at each other and say, there's not $500,000 in this budget.
Right.
So that's my proposal, is to at least say, come in at zero, come in at one, what would the impact really be?
And then you'd have that information for the hearing, so you can ask questions on that
Right.
information. That's sort of the idea.
To your point, Tom, and I agree with you, and we obviously always try to be transparent, but sometimes I'm thinking maybe we actually look for additional information that we otherwise we haven't gotten, in the past necessarily. And that's if you're saying a zero budget and you identify what costs are not discretionary, what costs you have to pay, your debt service, your utilities, your salaries and things of that nature, give each department what that is. So if you're going to zero, they should know exactly what they need to cut in order to get there, because there's a particular level, there's a particular number that is going to go up no matter what. It's contractual. It's
Correct.
obligated.
In most departments, it's the personnel which we provide for the department.
Right.
And I'll just point again, I mean, I'm trying to be very careful, because I'm suggesting things that go against my internal belief. But I would say that that personnel is not a contractual obligation
Agreed.
in so far as the overall budget. I mean,
Correct.
we have to pay electricity, that's an obligation.
Debt service.
We have to pay, debt service. There's certain things that are absolutely,
I would say debt service is the only legal obligation that you have.
we do have to have electricity.
What about,
Well,
what about the
you
teachers'
can-
contracts? And-
You have to pay a certain rate, but you could lay off teachers.
And I'm saying we want to do that, but I think that
Right.
that's the
You
point.
you can close the library and not have lights on. That would
Right.
get rid of electricity. I mean, you have to think of it in more, the only thing we're actually legally
Debt
sign on the
service.
dotted line that we actually have to pay as our debt service.
And again, I think if we have these conversations when we're talking and in the budget, then people who listen to us will understand, one, we're asking the right questions, and two, they say, wait, what do you mean? Fire a police officer, fire a teacher, or close the library, the library will be open at 10 to 2 on Mondays, and that's all we
Right.
can afford. I mean, I'm being facetious, but I think that these are the questions we have.
I could say historically speaking, because I'm old,
Yeah.
I've been around here a while. I think in the past, when we have asked for 0%, it is a rarity where people can find it, no matter how sharp they sharpen their pencils and everything. But it gives it a start, and in the end, maybe you come up with 1 or 2 or something like that. But at least, as you said, Javier, it's a goal, an aim for, and they do. I will say that the department heads really work hard at trying. And then they come back and they say, we just can't do it, and
Or
why?
we're gonna have to make some ridiculous.
Exactly.
And that's the
And-
key.
Or help us, because we tried as best we could. And
I think it's important that we understand and we get the public to understand what the implications are.
Right.
And the way to do that is to identify what the numbers are, very specifically what the
and
numbers
you'll
are.
get that.
So if,
Yeah.
if, for example, we know going into next year's budget, it's already going up $2.3 million, because those are our contracts and things of that nature. If we don't lay anybody off, and we don't cut any programs, if we just
Right.
keep everything the way it is today, we're going up $2.3, $2.5 million. We know that, so
Does that
now,
include Amity?
so, no, this is just our budget.
We don't
I
have
shouldn't
a
say
lot
that,
of-
no, it would be, it
I mean, we don't
could
know
include
where
Amity.
Amity's gonna come in.
Correct. We we
Yeah,
we
no,
could
I
get
know, you're
an
right.
indication, what I mean, we can
Right.
have them give us an indication about that.
Right.
All I'm saying is to try to collect the information so we understand what the implication is.
Mhm.
And then we can divvy it up by department as is necessary. For the most part, we got a lot of small departments. There's not a lot of going on with those departments in terms of that type of thing. there are some major departments, if we can identify very specifically what the implication is, it gives them and it gives the public and it gives us an opportunity to say, all right, the only way we're getting there is by laying people off. All right, the only way we're getting there is by shutting down or stopping programs. And if that's at the point we are, that's transparency. That's what it means to be transparent in terms of saying, this is where we are, folks. This is what we have to do from a town in order to just maintain where we are.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
so it's like it's a hard thing, but it's
the reality.
a reality.
And
It's a reality.
I'm just sort of urging us to push it into the presentation phase of this.
Right.
So that we're discussing, we're hearing about it, as opposed to sort of at the tail end saying,
Right.
oh, well, whoops, we can't do it because it's gonna be.
Do we
this
know
much."
what the contracted increases for teacher salaries are at Beecher for next year?
They-
Did the
They
contract
just,
come
they
up
just,
again?
actually, they're just settling, right?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
just settling
They're just
now.
settled.
So we may have a sense, Scott, but it's a
Right.
moving number right now. We best to wait until they they finish with what they're negotiating,
Right.
and then have them calculate what they feel it is.
Mhm.
And they can do it just like we do. They can give us an estimate, and that's all you're looking for. You're not going to get down to the nickel, but you certainly can get an estimate as to, and it gives you something to work with. It gives you something to discuss, and then you can start doing some program budgeting because you know what you're working with.
And how about, I mean, as we project fiscal '27 from a debt service standpoint, Tony? Is
It
any-
goes up a small amount, because we did an issue for the school, but it's very little,
Without
any projects?
spending any money,
Right.
correct.
right?
And
Do we
you've got-
foresee any projects in?
So, we
27?
we do not have any projects currently approved in the pipeline for debt service.
Okay.
So, the next drop-off is 2031, I think, is the country club, I believe is the next
Okay.
one.
But when you say, is anything in the pipeline, is the need
There are projects,
for,
there are projects that
is
are
a
being
need for
discussed.
is a need for a fire apparatus?
Right,
That's
but what,
what
I mean, from a commitment standpoint?
Right, not from a commitment
Right.
standpoint, no.
Okay. Okay. So, from my perspective, back to the school, one of my concerns has always been with teacher contracts, when you hold Beecher to 0, you're cutting the school, right? I mean, it's simple math. And we did that for a while.
We-
For a long while. Right? And we had to pay the price. So,
Tony's report just indicated, or the report that was there for Beecher, the Beecher report,
mhm.
indicates that 82% of their spend is salaries
Salaries,
and
Oh, right.
benefits.
Right.
So it's 82% of what they
Right.
have. So you say 0,
That's my point.
Right.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and we did
We
that for a
know.
number of years,
Yep,
and
I
then
agree.
we
There
got
was a
hit
problem.
with the big number,
Right.
right? So that would be my caution. Like, if we go down that road, we pay for it at some point.
And again, I think when all of us are saying 0, we're not actually saying, what we're trying to do at this point is to say, in the highly unlikely chance we're gonna ask you for 0, what
Right.
would you anticipate doing to bring it up? Because
Mhm.
I don't think anyone around this table wants or expects the budget to be at 0 next
Mhm.
year. But it's an exercise, and maybe 0 is too low, and let's not waste the time, maybe it's 1%, I don't know. Because that's what I want input from Tony, is because I don't want to go to the superintendent of the school and say, if we make it 0, what are you gonna do? Because he's not gonna be able to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't wanna have department heads, if we're
Well, if
not, if we really don't think, I'm just trying to say, don't put them through a large effort if Tony says at this point, that's totally unreasonable to set it at 0, set it at 1. I'd sort of like, sorry, Tony, I'm putting you a little bit on the spot, but.
I would say this is more of a policy decision than it is a finance one.
No, but I'm saying, how
You know.
much work would it take them? It's clearly,
So they're gonna have a request of X, whatever their request is. Each request is different. And then you're gonna say, well, okay, you need to take that request from whatever it is to 0. So what would you need to do that? And it shouldn't take that much
okay, good.
effort to
That's all I want to know.
To say, oh, well, we're gonna have to remove,
Right.
especially at the Board
They're
of Ed.
already in the process of formulating their budgets, right?
Right,
Their asks.
correct, yeah.
So we get a range, then the zero, and then the ask.
Right,
Right.
you're gonna get an ask, and then I'm gonna say, okay, now identify on a document what you would need to do to get to 0, 1%, whatever you think is appropriate. And then they would show you, based on, so you'd have their request, but then you would have what they would have, you would have to remove, because you would be removing it from their budget to get to a certain percentage, which would be 0. The only thing I would suggest is if you're gonna do a percentage, it's equally across the board.
Has to be across the board.
Yeah, don't apply different percentages to different departments.
Right,
No,
I
Yeah,
agree.
right.
I think we have consensus
You
on
could,
that, right?
your ultimate decision could be different to each department, clearly, but the ask should be the same for everyone.
And in light of the other, I hesitate to bring it up, but we know that the town hall has done a very good job of reducing personnel by attrition.
And combining positions.
But
All of it.
the question is, have we gone too low? And at the same time that I'm saying, well, we should ask for 0, I'm saying, and probably no new personnel, is it unreasonable to say, do we need another body or two at town hall?
Depends on what you want to do, Tom. The answer to your question is a really good question, because if you just take it in terms of status quo, we don't have enough. We've gotten to a point where it depends, depending on what it is, in certain areas, not necessarily in every department in town hall, but in certain areas, so. And that's one of the things that we're looking at, we've been looking at, and one of the things we hope to continue to look at is, can we secure some optimization by combining departments?
Right.
And things of that nature. So that's part of the overall process.
I just bring it up as the
And
early part of the process.
That would be a
at
way to
least,
make up for that
Right.
without more money.
All right, sounds good. So, I mean, my perspective, I know we're not gonna get 0, but we could say, hey, let's try to get close to 0 as possible. And like you mentioned, you take last year's, keep that flat and see what salaries are, what that
Okay.
increase looks like, and then we work backwards from there. And
Sure.
like Mika said, transparency, and we can see
Can
where-
I make a request? It's not exactly on guidelines, but back to what Scott was saying about Amity. Can we get what they're thinking the Woodbridge enrollment is going to be? I mean, they must have some projection of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
They know how
'cause what
many
I
people
don't
are in
wanna
8th
have
grade.
What?
They know how many people are in 8th grade.
Right.
There
They
might be more, but
They know how many people there should be in 6th grade.
I
I'm just
could, I
saying,
could find out.
I mean, I just think, again, that would help us, because if
Or 6th grade, excuse me.
yeah, 6th grade, right? And that would help us if, Bethany is going to see, it has a 20% reduction in their 6th graders. What is that going to do to us? It could be another big jump, or hopefully not. But again, as we go through the process, because we don't have control really over that Amity budget. But at least if we have some projection of what our percentage might be, that could help us in terms of sharpening our pens.
So we need to make a motion to.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
If I just, before you do it, just the other item I'll mention is, what Tony mentioned is personnel, new requisitions, new people, and whether or not we want to add or not,
Right.
so.
I mean, I feel like they would do a good job of telling us if they need.
Right.
Yeah,
To
police
add,
department in
right? So
particular,
they're
that's where we're hurting.
I
you
think
know.
they're always going to ask for us. If we're going to be the protectors of the purse, if you will, for the town, I mean, I think we should start off at a 0 and, of course, consider any requests that they will inevitably submit to us.
Excluding salaries, is what you're saying.
Just
I'm
new
talking about
personnel.
new
New personnel.
New
personnel,
personnel, okay,
yeah,
okay.
not, because that's
Got it.
contractual, yeah.
All right, so I'll make a motion to recommend departments keep 0, as close to 0 as possible, knowing that's may not be
Feasible.
feasible, but start there and work backwards, or work forward. Does that make sense?
I would say to identify reductions that would be necessary to have their budget request be a 0% increase. And how's that sound?
Do we need a motion?
I was
or
gonna
we have
say, do we
consensus?
really need a
Is that
motion?
No, I guess suppose if you want a consensus, that's okay.
I was gonna say, as long as we have
No,
a consensus,
that's
we're
what I'm-
good.
That's my concern. Everybody's on board with that?
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay, we'll take care of it.
And again, I don't know if this is the time or at a later date to discuss how we want to handle capital going forward. Should we wait till, I mean,
What do you mean discuss how we're gonna handle
well,
it?
I would
Having
like
it
at
on-
some point, I'm just putting it out as a placeholder
Yeah.
to discuss how, because I'm a little concerned we're compressing everything in appropriate, because of the way our election works. And I think that,
Would you like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda, Tom?
no.
You can.
I'm looking at the clock, so I think we'll
Perhaps at a
just,
future meeting.
yeah, at a future meeting, that's fine, thank you.
Yeah.
We could put that next month's agenda?
Talk about
That
capital.
works?
Awesome, awesome.
So if you're doing the zeros operating costs only? It's not
Operating, that's what I was gonna
Only
say,
on
yeah.
operating, okay.
Next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes for September 18th, I think.
Do we do,
I'll
you
make a
do funding?
motion to
funding
approve.
request?
We have a funding request.
Oh, there you go. Why did I check
Never
that?
mind.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve funding request, 2526-0 in amount of $1,868. And this is to fund the increase in the Woodbridge assessment for the Derby probate court.
Second.
Any discussion?
All in favor, discussion?
I'm just assuming this is.
I can tell you the reason is because our assessment is based on our grand list.
Our grand list.
So they take the 4 grand lists of the members and they divide up the fees of the probate court.
All in favor? Motion to approve
A motion to
minutes.
approve the minutes of
Second.
September
I-
18th,
I did-
2025.
Any issues?
Catch in here, Donovan, you nominated Beth. In the minutes, it says Javier.
Oh,
Oh, thank you.
That was nice of you.
It was friendly.
So that would be just an amendment to me.
yeah,
Do we have to second that?
good catch.
I guess we need to second it.
Second, yeah.
Okay.
The motion's made. I
You
think
didn't,
all you're doing is adding the amendment
Yeah,
to it.
I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if we needed to second his motion or not, so.
So his motion is with the amendment to correct the correct
Yes.
minutes.
Coming fast and furious here.
liaison reports?
Just gotta
All in
We have to
favor?
take the vote.
Take the vote?
We have to vote on the minutes as amended.
I agree, I was
Good
here.
point. Show fast and furious for sure.
Liaison reports? No?
Mr. Chair, if I could ask a question while we're on this topic.
Well, actually, it's, we
Absolutely.
skipped this first selectmen's report.
Oh, sorry.
I don't get to talk.
By all
about it.
means, yeah.
So, not a lot, but first of all, one of the more important things from my perspective is the CCW master plan. The final document was delivered to us by Cooper Robertson, our consultant, and the final document was delivered in September, actually, our September meeting. They provided us the Board of Selectmen an opportunity to comment on that last document that they provided us, or the document, and then they looked at the comments that they received and incorporated those into what is now the final document that has been put on the website. We're actually going to discuss it in a special meeting, what the next steps are. We're going to discuss in a special meeting on the 29th of this month of October. Very proud to say that the Sustainable CT, we achieved the Sustainable CT Bronze certification effective through December 31st, 2028. Our application was approved for 27 actions in 12 categories for a total of 395 points. Our town will be recognized at an upcoming Sustainable CT Awards celebration on October 28th at the Goodspeed Opera House in East Haddam. We've got 105. The good thing is there's 3 categories that are long categories, that are difficult categories to usually get. We were able to achieve those as part of our bronze. We have 105 more, and we can gain silver, which we haven't been able to do, we hadn't done as yet. So we're looking forward to that, and we're hoping that we can have that done in April. There was a road race, and Woodbridge Like Me Day took place a couple weekends ago. Both events worked out very, very well. And early voting, just for everyone, remember that early voting starts October 20th, and registrars have more details if anybody's looking for them. Absentee ballots have been available with the town clerk for a while now. Halloween truck or treat will be held here on Meeting House Lane, similar to the way it was last year, and that'll be there. And the Halloween hoot is on October 25th from 10 to 2. So just give you some updates and some things that are happening. Any questions?
Thank you, Mika.
You're welcome.
It's great news. Apologies for skipping Sullivan's report. No liaison reports. Javier had a question?
I did have a question, and it's specifically in regards to Amity. So if there was a way that we can, whether it's a liaison that we assign, or we ask the Amity Board of Ed to assign a liaison to us, if we could have maybe somebody from their finance committee come give us updates every now and then, so at least we're aware of the thinking, any issues that we can plan forward for.
Yeah.
I mean, this was the largest piece of our budget last year, and we didn't get a whole lot of information until budget presentation time, so.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, I'm sure they're open to sitting with us, a phone call, a meeting, just to.
I think maybe at least on a quarterly basis would be awesome to have.
And they'll come here and just
Right.
give us an update.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. What do you think, Mika? Any issues there?
I don't think it shouldn't be a problem. We do it with Beecher in a sense. We don't necessarily go over
Right.
budget,
Okay.
but we go over budget separately in terms of Tony and myself on with Beecher.
Yeah.
So,
Because you have
Yeah, we
regular
meet
phone
with them-
calls,
we
don't
meet
you?
with them monthly.
monthly. Yeah, we
Yeah.
meet with them monthly separately.
Go
I meet
over.
with Jen too, but we don't do budgets when we meet with Jen, because it's the other two first selectmen. So it's, we talk about budgets, but we don't really get an update in terms of what's happening.
So you sound like you want to include the board into that discussion. Is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, the way I've
It
envisioned
sounds
this would
like
be
you're already
asking
doing that.
them to come give us an update, someone either from the finance committee or from,
Yeah.
I believe we have, one of our reps is on the finance committee, if memory
Yeah.
serves correctly, so it'd be great if we could ask that person to come present to us on a quarterly basis and kind of give us an update.
Absolutely.
And, we could ask questions and they could ask us questions, and
Absolutely. I'll
Have
mention
more
it. I'll
conversation.
mention it. I don't see why not.
Thank you,
It's a
thank
big
you.
part of our
Thanks for
budget,
considering
and
that.
I don't think they'll disagree.
Good idea.
All right. Any other comments? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
I don't know why you were pointing at me. I thought you wanted to do it.
took your thunder. Typically, it's your motion.